Are you actually nervous? Okay, well, we're live now anyway.
Right.
Okay, so for anyone who doesn't know, so Mikey is how do I describe Mikey? So he has a terrible taste in music, like awful, honestly awful, like really really bad. As you can see from his t-shirt, but he's really good videographer, photographer, all that kind of stuff. Hi, Alyssa. I'm on my. I bought a Mac because partially because Savan mocked me so mercilessly, but also because like I just needed something that actually worked and functioned. So I just did that thing, the way on a Windows when you can tap and it clicks, but you physically have to click on a MacBook. So that's why that took so long to bring up. But yeah, Mikey is a videographer, content creator. He works with Emma Quaid and Sam Stewart and Built for Athletes and Turf and just heaps of different outlets and people who need content and stuff. And Mikey and I went over to America, and we covered the Irish for Filthy 150 and did our own stuff as well. So Mikey obviously took pictures and I did the vlog and stuff. So yes, I put up a question box saying like ask anything or whatever, and there was hundreds, like about five people said, why don't you do like a recap episode or whatever. Get off the YouTube on your phone, Mikey, for fuck's sake.
I'm actually going to share the link in my story. That's what I'm
gonna do. So I've written out some. If anybody has any questions as we're doing it, if anybody has any questions, just throw them in and we'll answer them. But we'll try and follow. I kind of texted Mikey like a list of things to discuss. So we'll kind of, I suppose, we'll follow in chronological order. And then if there's anybody has any questions during it, you can just ask. I think this is my favorite thing I got in Madison was this hoodie. They're hard got. They're hard got. And I swapped JR a t-shirt for it. Right. So Sunday, I actually forgot to write this down. So we left on Sunday, like Irish time, and got there on Sunday, like Sunday morning Irish time, and got there on Sunday afternoon or whatever, American time. And on the plane, so Mikey was sitting like, I don't know, like 10 rows in front of me or whatever. And so, like, perhaps shockingly, we didn't travel business class. But there was a guy. So there was a guy sitting to my left. I was in the middle of like 4, right? And there was a guy to my left, me, another guy, and then what's your man's name? The judge, Stephen, is it?
Stephen, yeah.
Yeah, he's a judge. He was judging at the games, and he just happened to be sitting like one removed from me. I actually asked him at the conveyor belt, didn't I? And he said he didn't see it. So the guy to my left, I think had like just broken up with his girlfriend or something, like minutes before he got on the flight, because it's whatever. How long is it? 9 hours.
It was 8:41. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was 8:41. I'd say for 7.5 hours he was asleep. He just slept like so much. And I had that thing of like, is it weird if I climb over him to get out to go to the toilet? Is it worse to climb over him, or is it worse to wake him? And then I was like, is it better to climb over him facing him or facing away? Like if he wakes up. And then the guy, when he was awake, he was reading over messages. Like, I mean, I can see why they broke up, to be honest. He was reading over messages from his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend, and she was writing like, like read more, like big, like essays, multiple messages, like easily 500 words combined in each communication with him. And then he was sending back like 3, like, yeah, okay. Okay. Or yeah, I get it. And I was like, I don't think you do get it, mate. Like I think you're on to a loser here. So that was kind of entertaining. And like, I mean, yeah, like, should I have been reading? I don't really give a fuck, to be honest. He was sitting there with his phone out. There was nothing else to do. My screen wasn't working. Like, so, and I had a pair of headphones that like my usual like headphones that I'm wearing now, and I turned them into wireless headphones by accident because trying to get the screen to work, I snapped off the brass thing in the little headphone port. So now I have no headphones. But anyway, reading that guy. So I actually discovered when I kind of was looking, you know, the way like that catches your eye, and I was like, Jesus, a lot of writing in those gray messages or whatever. And then I kind of did that, like, you know, I just kind of like, he can't see my face, but I can still see his phone, like, type of position. So I got a good bit of crack out of that, kind of reading them and playing over my head what that might have been like for the two of them. I like to think as well that like she was like, you know, the way if you start typing you get the three dots. I like to feel like she had the three dots coming her way just as he went into like no reception. So it was just the three dots for whatever 9 hours. We're just constantly playing. Then the guy on my right, so the guy on my right had an iPad that he was using as a Kindle, and he had it sideways, so the text was massive, right? The screen was like full, like the sun in his face. And I looked over, and at the top of the page of the book, there was like buzzwords, you know, like almost like hashtags that what do you call them? Like synopsises or whatever, or I don't know. But little, like, say, the example I keep using is if it was a James Bond book, it would say like fiction, espionage, thriller, spy, or whatever at the top, right? But but the words at the top of his were fiction, like fine, sci-fi, fine, erotic, I'm sorry. And then erotic, and what was the other one? Fetish or something was the last one. And I glanced and like saw those words, and I was like, all right, this is more interesting than the text. Like, I was like, sorry, mate, you're boring now. You can go back to sleep. So it was a book about alien priestess who was like a rabbit, from what I could tell from the description. Like, there was a lot of fur anyway, and ears and stuff. And like, I won't go into too much detail, but he read that book for the full 8 hours. Like, from the minute he sat down in the chair, he tried to turn on a screen once, it didn't turn on. He took out his iPad. He put away his iPad as the seatbelt light went off after we landed. Like, he read that and he didn't finish it. So either he's a really slow reader, or that's like a voluminous porno book. So yeah, they were the two, like, frankly bizarre. He, like, I don't know, just like the lack of shame. Like, would you not, like, I don't know, like, dim your screen, or like hide the fact that you're reading it, or like, I don't know, listen to the audiobook maybe, or just don't do it at all. Don't engage with it at all in public, like when you're sitting beside people on a plane. But yeah, that was weird.
When we landed and I turned on my phone and went to like the SIM thing we got, the temporary SIM, the eSIM, and the very first message that came up was from you. Like, the plane was barely on the ground. The tires were still warm, and all I could see was, I can't wait to tell you about the guy I'm sitting beside.
But it's like that, like, I kind of glanced. I only noticed it after I spoke to you about halfway through the flight, and I didn't see it then till the end. And it was like, I kind of glanced, and then you know, when you glance, you're looking around to see, like, has anyone else seen what I just seen? But obviously no one could. But I was pretty close to elbowing the breakup guy and being like, hey, if you want to distract yourself from your breakup, look at what this lad over here is reading. But yeah, that was like very bizarre. But yes, anyway, Sunday night or Sunday afternoon, we went to Hiller's house. So that was the first place we went. And so the first bit of the vlog is in Hiller's house. So we went there. We stopped on the way and got him tomatoes because he really likes tomatoes. And it was pretty funny, actually. So we got them in Aldi. So Aldi is in America, but it's also in Ireland. So we got them there. And then when we got there, I was like, oh, I brought you tomatoes. And he was like, oh, where'd you get these? And I was like, in Aldi. And then I said, separate point, I was like, oh, we actually have Aldi in Ireland. And then he's like, you brought these tomatoes from Ireland? I was like, no, like, just from Aldi, like 5 minutes away from your house. Yeah. So he has a really cool house, real big, like, it's like a log cabin in like just on the suburbs of a town or whatever, but the logs are like, they're about like 4 foot width or whatever. They're massive.
Like, it was in like Huckleberry Finn or something, and it was like the log cabin that they all go to in the woods. But it was in an estate, so it was like I was walking down a normal estate, and then suddenly, just because when we passed it, remember we went into the house just after.
he texted and said log cabin, and I was like, what? And then like reversed, and sure enough,
like, oh, it's the big log cabin there, right?
What's those? What are those trees? You know, the massive trees in America. What are they called? Oh, they're like the biggest tree. Like the biggest tree in the world is one of these trees. Is it a redwood or a cedarwood or something? I don't know. They look like those though. They weren't like a log cabin I've seen in the past. They're like that thick.
Yeah.
But these are like at least 4 or 5 feet each log.
Yeah. Anytime I see a log cabin in Ireland, I always go, a big wind now and that's gone. Whereas with that one, I was like, that's withstanding a storm. Like,
yeah, his would not be an issue for a big bad wolf. He would have been fine. Bruce, I left Friends podcast. Oh, Brian Friend. Screw that guy. So
Bruce Wayne, as in, you know.
No, it's not. It's not actually Batman. I'd have him as he's pretty cool. He's probably as cool as Batman, maybe. But yeah, so we went there. We did a workout. Like, oh my god, did not want. I don't think any of us wanted to do.
You came out hot.
Thing. Yeah, we didn't want to do anything. I can't even remember what it was. It was like 15 calories, 12 snatches, 9 burpees or something, and it was every 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Oh, we'll do a test round first." He was like every 3 minutes for a maximum of 5 rounds, but he wanted everyone to get around 3. Like that was the stimulus or the aim or whatever. And he said, like, "All right, we'll do a test run. So we'll just do it, see how it feels, and like see what happens, whatever." Never really been on an echo bike before, so like just how many minutes are we in? 11, I can swear. Okay, I absolutely fucked myself on the first round, where it was like 15 calories. I stepped off the bike, I walked, I felt Hiller look at me, and it was a look of like, what are you doing? And I quickly realized, like, all right, I've made a dramatic choice here, and it's going to be an error. Got to my bar, still nobody had stopped. Picked up the bar, still nobody had stopped. I was like, I've really, really made a mistake. So I continued that run anyway, stopped at the end, and then Hiller was like, geez, that was way too quick. Like, and I was like, yeah, I've never been on an echo bike before, so I just kind of revved it up. And he was like, you need to look for, and I can't remember what number he said, but you need to look for this watts or whatever. And I was like, all right, okay. So we did the real one then. I needed about 15 minutes after that simmer down, and we did the real one then, and I couldn't remember what number he said or what like section of the screen it was on. So I just did the same thing again. I just like, I've actually realized since though, because we did a workout with the program on Monday in Big Dane, and I've actually realized like I only have one speed on an assault bike, and it's just to go as hard as I can for as long as I can, and then let's just grind through whatever's left. Hopefully the going hard just finishes it. And if it doesn't, just slog out and drool and whatever till I'm finished. But yeah, that was good crack. It was great fun. He's a really good coach. Like that's one of the things that I took from it was like, it was a good workout ever, and it was fun doing it. And he took it from his own program and whatever. But he was very, like he explained things really well. Like obviously he didn't have to coach us in how to do a snatch or whatever, but he explained things really well, and only explained things. Like me not understanding the bike is because I'm stupid, not because he explained it badly. But he explained like the pacing really well, and he explained like the explanation of what the purpose of the workout was, and I don't know. I've never really had that where someone was like, all right, we're going to do it every 3 minutes of this. And he was like, if you get 3, you're good. But then do the 4th round in the next 3-minute window anyway, and just kind of get through it. Like, don't worry about finishing it within the 3 minutes. Just get through it. And I just thought that was really good. So I was very impressed with his coaching. And then we chatted for like maybe 3 hours or something afterwards. They all just kind of sat around and chatted.
I think the atmosphere was really cool in it, because obviously, if you watch his videos, you have an idea of what the area looks like where he films. And I suppose when we went in there and we started working out, it was like, oh, this is cool. Like, this is where he films his videos. So it takes a couple of minutes to realize, oh yeah, he is just like a normal person. And as you said, the coaching was really cool, because I felt like in the small amount of coaching he gave us, he explained the workout, the stimulus, and the addition of the practice round as well was cool, because it was like, hey, we're going to do this. And then that gave everyone an idea of where they were. And it also, I suppose, gave him an idea of where we were as well. So there was no point in us doing a workout and then after round one, us all lying on the ground absolutely dead. Him being like, we shouldn't have done this one. So it was,
No, he's very good. And then great chat as well. Like we chatted about everything, like chatted loads about this podcast, about his YouTube, about, you know, the changes he's made, the changes I've made, and he gave me advice on what changes I could make. And you guys all chatted about, it was you, Nicholas, from Sweden, and me, and you three chatted loads about cameras. Like he's a proper camera nerd. You guys chatted about that for a while. Then Alexis came, and she was really nice. She's great. She's actually having surgery today, I think, on her hip. But she was really nice, really friendly. Like they have 2 really nice dogs, really nice house, whatever. And then went.
We hit the road then.
Yeah, we left there. He gave us C4 and told us where to go for food. And we went there for food. What the fuck was the name of the place? Something's Sandwiches.
Oh, Big Mike's or Mike's.
Big Mike Subs or something. Oh, there's Nicholas now. Look.
Mikey Joe. Nicholas, go on the good thing.
Big Joe's Subs. New Jersey Mike's.
That's it.
Something. Yeah. So he told us to go there and what to order, and we went there and we ordered exactly that, and then we drove.
Actually, just on that though, I remember we all had the same reaction, because when they gave us the sub, we were all like, thought it was going to be toasted, and we all walked out going, wish it was toasted. And we were about 2 or 3 bites in, and we were like, oh right, no, it's really good.
Yeah. I will say that you saying we all Jersey Mike's, that's it.
Jersey Mike's,
you said, will we? Everybody's saying it now. Great, yeah. I mean, you're all just echoing each other, so you're just making yourselves look stupid. We got the sub, and I will say you said, we all said, oh, it'd be better if it's toasted. You said that about 12 times, and I don't think anybody else said it. You just kept repeating it. You're like, guys, wouldn't it be though? Wouldn't it be, guys? Do you think we go back in, guys? Ask them, will we? No. And I was already driving. But yeah, then that was actually really nice. Yeah, I got that, drove down, went to the hotel, checked in, grand, yeah, the Radisson in Madison, and kind of like, it was nice, like fine hotel. Kind of always felt like I was intruding, like I was in someone else's house or something. Every time I went into the reception, they were just like, it was like I don't know, like I was interrupting them from sending like a really important email or something constantly. Like if I ever asked for anything, I just felt like, I'm really sorry. Like I know that you redoing my key is a big hassle.
They definitely didn't have the internet there, so they weren't sending emails.
No. My room was constantly damp. That's one thing I noticed, that the aircon, like Baltic room, when I went in first, I was like, brilliant, this is lovely. But like everything surface wise, so like the top of the duvet, the top of the pillow, the curtains, the top of the, you know, cabinets and everything was just slightly damp. But like in the bed itself was fine. But if I ever left clothes out, the next morning they were a little bit damp as well. But now, I mean, that type of hotel, someone could have been just coming in and pissing on the bed for all I know when I wasn't there.
Your room wasn't technically in the hotel, was it? It was.
No, I'm actually convinced that I stayed in the Coliseum. Because after I checked in, I said to you when we were checking in, I was like, you're going to go, I bet, you said, oh, hopefully the rooms are beside each other. And I was like, I bet they couldn't be further apart. Like, that's just always the way it works. So you guys were upstairs, I was downstairs, like on the floor that you enter on. And she was like, oh, you're in room 152. And I was like, okay, grand. Where do I go for that? And she's like, just down here and turn. Well, she's like, just down here and turn right. And I was like, right, okay. So I went down, turned right, and I walked. And I walked. And I walked. And then I came to like a dead end, and there was like a chicane turn, and I walked again. And then there was another dead end and another chicane turn. And I was like, right, I have to be in a different fucking state at this stage. But eventually found my room. And it was grand, whatever. Like the hotel wasn't really that eventful, to be honest. So that was Sunday. Monday we went to Big Dane for Goa. They were doing their activation there. I went and met up with Thibaut and the program were doing a workout. Wasn't really planning on doing anything, and then Thibaut was like, "Oh, John's doing a coaching a class. You should do it." So I was like, "Right, okay." But Big Dane was like on Monday and Tuesday. Big Dane was like a lineup of like elite CrossFitters.
Yeah.
Like it was like I remember we walked in first and we were like, who was the first person we saw on that Monday? Yeah, we were standing in there and Daniel Brandon walked in and we were like, oh shit, there's Daniel Brandon. That's mad. Then it was like literally within 5 minutes,
Everyone.
Hopper, Noah, Chandler, like all the HWPO people, Catherine, Amanda, all of them, all the brute people like Sprague, Pepper. Like there was honestly at one stage there's about 25 of the top 10 male and female athletes. Like there was a stupid amount of people in there. 25 of the top 10 male and female does not add up, but you understand what I mean. But yeah, and then that was a point in time where I hadn't actually really vlogged apart from in Hiller's house where it was really obvious what we were doing. And then you guys were like, yeah, you need to actually just take out your camera and like start doing something. And I was like, but I don't know what to do. Like, do I just literally walk up to people and start talking to them? And you're like, yes, like make it obvious that you have a camera and start talking to them.
Yeah.
So started doing that, got loads of content, or I hate using that word, got loads of footage. That first day with all those, everyone was in a good mood. Everyone was excited. Everyone was like, yeah, no problem. I'll chat. Like, woohoo. Like life is brilliant. Then did the workout with the program. That was grand. Then we left there and went to the venue. Is that right?
Monday. Yeah, we did for
registration.
Registration, yeah.
Team registration.
Oh, was that not Tuesday, no?
Oh, I don't know, maybe it was. I can't remember what we did on Monday. Anyway, yeah. Big Dane, grand.
I remember
Monday.
I remember after Big Dane we went. Oh no, yeah, you were doing some video work. Me and Nicholas went to get some food and we came back. And then after that, yeah, maybe we did go for registration, yeah, for team registration.
Yeah. I think it was team registration on Monday and individual registration on Tuesday. But maybe it was team registration on Wednesday. Individual. No, anyway, fuck it. It doesn't matter. That was a very boring minute. I was trying to work that out. But we left anyway. Left Big Dane. Can't remember what we did the rest of Monday, but obviously wasn't that fucking impactful on anyone's life. Then Tuesday, we kind of did similar on Tuesday. We went to Big Dane, and then we went to the venue. There was registration and stuff, and there was a bit of a kind of like, oh, will we be able to get in? How far will we be able to get in? Individuals was quite tight. Like you kind of, there was a lot of people around, and it was quite like, you know, there's Sam. Individual team registration on Tuesday. All right, there's no need for the language, Sam. Yeah, so team registration. Yeah, so individual registration was on Monday, and team registration was on Tuesday. And then on Monday, individual registration was quite tight and quite like compact, and you couldn't really go anywhere, and it was obvious that you were going to get kicked out if you tried like flirting with the lines or whatever. Team registration on Tuesday was basically a free for all. You could just go wherever you wanted. We were all in. We went in with Sam and with those guys. We were like wandering around. Like I was in the locker room chatting to Sam and them, and then like walking over to another team and talking to like Oslo and whatever, and nobody was saying anything. We were asking questions of the people in there, and they were just like answering them, yeah, like, you know, chatting away. Whereas
I thought it would have to be like, oh, hey, do you mind if we go? You know, yeah. I was ready to throw out the old gift to the gab there, and we didn't have to.
And I think that gave me confidence for the rest of the week of like, oh, you can actually kind of do whatever you want once you don't piss anyone off, and once you don't like, you know, flagrantly break the rules. You can kind of go wherever you want, and worst case, you'd be told, hey, come on out of there, and you'd be like, all right, sorry. So I think that gave me a lot of confidence for the rest of the week. Plus on Monday in Big Dane and at registration, and on Tuesday at team registration, I kind of got a sense of I'm trying to think of a way to say this that doesn't make it sound like I have a big head about it, because that's not what I'm intending to do. But I kind of got a sense of like that people knew who I was, as in like people who had been on the show remembered who I was, and managers or coaches or whatever also seemed to know who I was. So that was good. Like that was similar to being able to say like, oh, you can actually kind of go wherever you want. Saying to myself like, oh, these, like, a lot of these people actually know who I am. That makes this a lot easier. Like, because I'm not starting from zero, walking up to people, having to explain. Like at the start, I was kind of like explaining who I was, and then I kind of learned my lesson on like Wednesday and Thursday. I wore the show T-shirt, and I could see people like glance down and be like, right, I know who this is now. But that made a big difference, being able to see a bit of recognition and a bit of like, oh, they actually know. I don't have to explain who I am every time I meet someone or whatever. And yeah, I think that was my main takeaway from Monday and Tuesday.
That's probably a good confidence booster for you as well, to kick off the week with kind of like a, hey, yeah, it's okay, I know what I'm doing here and I kind of belong here, rather than, oh, am I stepping on people's toes, or, you know, I don't want to be annoying people.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I think I didn't feel like I belonged until probably Friday or Saturday. I'd say I constantly felt like, I don't know, like I was doing a lot of stuff, and I knew myself, like I was like, geez, I'm wrecked and I'm working really hard, and you know, and I don't want to sound like one of those like, oh, fucking, you know, constantly grinding. Like I hate that shit. Like just shut your mouth and do the job, and then do it well, and then let other people judge you for it. But I know I worked hard, but at the same time I was like, am I actually doing anything? Like, am I actually achieving anything? Am I actually like, is any of this stuff usable? Is any of it good? Is it shit? Like, and then it was only when I got to say Friday or Saturday that I was like, it's actually all right. Like the stuff I'm doing, I'm enjoying the stuff that I'm putting together. So I assume someone else will as well, you know? But yeah, actually, sorry, a thing I did on Monday night. So on Monday night, Taylor and Will and those guys arrived on Monday, and they had a house in Oregon, which could well have been in the state of Oregon because it was so far away, but it was actually just like a district or whatever of Wisconsin, I think. But that was proper like cornfields. Like my service or reception or whatever went on my phone about 5 miles from the house. I was like fully getting murdered when I get here. Like this is a Saw 7 or whatever. But yeah, I had a really good chat with them. And I'd say of the whole week, I'd say that was probably the highlight. Meeting like Taylor, Will, Savan, Hiller, Caleb, JR, John Young, Tyler, like meeting all of those guys and putting like actual in-person time with all those, and like getting to know them. And I think it not being a disappointment, because you know, I was primed for that on the way over, that I was like, oh, what if they all hate me, or like, what if I don't like any of them, or what if like we just don't get on in person. But we had a great laugh out in that house. Michelle, Taylor, Tyler, Will, and Taylor's fiance were all out there. That was great crack. And then other evenings, then most of the other evenings we kind of went for dinner. We'll talk about one of the dinners in a while. And then, so would you say that, so the age groups and adaptive and stuff kicked off Tuesday, and we were obviously covering Lucy for that. But would you say that Tuesday, Wednesday was just, you were just kind of getting your eye in and being like, oh, where, like more so think, like kind of half thinking about the rest of the week from Thursday onwards, thinking, oh, where would be a good place to stand or sit or walk or whatever?
Yeah, I kind of did a lap of the North Park and figured out, you know, firstly where the lanes were, how far you could be away from the middle lane, where was a good spot for the rig or the starting point, the end point, and yeah, kind of getting an idea of, depending on the workout and where the person was in the lane, where would a good spot be, as opposed to just being like, oh, I'll just wait at the end on this side, or I'll wait at the end on that side. And then when the Coliseum opened, I did the same thing, you know, checked out the media pit and walked around the stands. The stands actually ended up being a little bit better most of the time, just because the media pit got so busy, and most of the time
you literally have like one angle as well. So if you have someone in the far lane, you're screwed.
especially because Lucy ended up just being in the middle most of the time, especially in the Coliseum. So being able to be like, right, well, if I need to get up there, I have to go up that steps and then run around this side. So just getting your bearings of where you could just go on reflex rather than being like, oh, she's about to go down that side of the workout for that workout. How do I get, that's why I did probably the first day, and then figuring out, just getting your little media spot in the media room and kind of getting a consistent spot where every day you come in, drop your bag, get your laptop out, get all your cards, batteries, camera on, and you're good to go. So yeah, they were probably figuring that out on the Tuesday, and then kind of slotted into it a little more easier on the Wednesday to, I suppose, get ready for the more work coming from Thursday onwards.
What did you think of the media room?
I thought it was great. Yeah,
I don't mean like the wall. I don't mean like the walls and the.
Yeah, no, I thought the setup was good, that you had plugs and there was, a good lot of space for everyone. Like, I mean, anytime I was in there and there was what looked like to be nearly everyone in there, I know some media teams had their own places, but when it was packed, it didn't feel too clunky. It wasn't like elbows against people. But yeah, I thought the crack was good. I think most people got on and had the chats. Other people were kind of more, hey, I'm just going to come in and do my work and then leave, which is totally fine. But you kind of get the crack going with certain people, and you can see who's kind of up for having a bit of a laugh and who's more just, hey, I'm just going to leave them do their work, and if they want to have a bit of a laugh, we're here kind of job. But it was cool to meet some people that you'd follow on Instagram for a while, or had talked on Instagram. I ended up sitting beside a guy called Brett, who I'd spoken to quite a lot on Instagram, and after the first day he messaged me. He was like, oh, I'll see you in the media room, and I was like, I think we're sitting beside each other. And he was like, no way. So when we came in the next day,
the guy that works with the Buddy Bros.
Yeah. So yeah, that was great. I thought it was great, to kind of touch base with everyone that you kind of chat to on Instagram and be like, hey, that's you in real life, and so yeah, I thought it was good. You kind of were on the outside media room, which I suppose was a little quieter, especially for you jumping on podcasts and stuff.
Yeah, well, I just kind of got like frustrated at, so the way it was set up was there was like rows of tables, but they were like really long. It was like 5, say, 2-person desks put together, and you could come in it from either side, but like there were quite narrow little passages, and this isn't like, I don't really give a fuck, I just moved outside and it was fine, but I'm just saying the reason I moved outside was because you were constantly like stepping over people and like, asking people to move in their chairs and stuff to get in. Whereas outside, the tables were really spread apart, so you just sit, like, you get into your seat wherever, like, really quickly. 2 comments here. So Bruce says, speaking of the Buddy Bros, how fast they put out that behind the scenes documentary. They did put out fast, but like the thing I don't like about that is the fact that people are like sharing it or whatever, fine, but they're saying like these guys, like these 2 boys or these 2 guys, they have a team of like 6 or whatever. 2 of the people, I don't think I ever saw them leave the media room. Like, they were just editing from first thing Wednesday or Thursday morning, constantly the whole way through, which is great. Like, it's really good. It's a really good system that they have or whatever. But like, yeah, I mean, the timeline makes sense that it would be that fast, considering like that it was, being recorded out in the field, brought in, SD card handed over, leaving again, going out, recording in the field, back in, swap the SD cards, out in the field recording, back in, swap the SD cards. So like, yeah, it's great, like 90 minutes or however long it is, an hour and a half, whatever. But like, they have a decent team. Like, there's a decent bit of legwork being done around them as well. And then Alyssa asks, so there's outside media team in their own documentary. What was that like? Were they outcast? No, I don't think so at all. I think there was a potential for, so this is like Sivan and Hiller, Will, fuck, I can't remember the name. There's a couple as well. I can't remember the name of the couple that were doing it, which is really annoying, but they're really nice. And Mariah Moore. No, Mariah, she came, but there was a couple as well that were doing it with them. He was fired by CrossFit like 3 months ago or something, and they took him on. And so they were outside, and Caleb arrived after a while, and Tyler was kind of in or around them, and like we were just kind of all outside, and Clydesdale were outside as well. And I think there was definitely potential there for them to be, thank you, Will, Patrick and Bella, thank you. there was potential there for that group to be treated poorly, but they weren't at all. Like from anything I seen or saw, everyone was treated like at worst respectfully. Like I don't think anybody like slighted anyone, or certainly not deliberately. And I include the whole media team in that. I don't think anybody was rude to anyone, or like at the very least, people were respectful to each other. And like, you know, professional respect or whatever, even if people aren't professional. But no, I don't think they were treated any differently. I think they gave that group of like 6 or 7 gave a real bit of like lightness and kind of like fun element or crack or whatever to the media room. Because that was another reason I moved outside, was because inside of that room, it was nearly like a library. Like you couldn't fucking talk. Like like I felt like you had to nearly whisper because everyone was just like doing their editing and shit. So when I was outside then, I could do something like multiple times. I was like, right, I'm going to edit. I'm going to put together, I have an hour break. I'm going to put together all the footage I have so far, edit it together, because that'll save me time tonight. And I'd sit down, turn on my laptop, and I'd start chatting to Will, or I'd start chatting to Tyler, or I'd go on Barbara Spin's podcast, or I'd go and talk to Caleb or whatever. And it ended up, I'd do fucking nothing. But I loved it. Like, it was great. And then I'd be up till fucking midnight or 1 o'clock doing the videos instead. But not that you'd know it. I compare that to the Buttery Bros with their team of 6. Mine looks pretty shit. But the Savan and those guys, everyone seemed to really get along with them. Chris, the guy that runs the PR, I think, he was out there, and Keith, I think it's pronounced Nap, but it's spelled Knap. He was out there as well, kind of coming and going and stuff. But yeah, and Clyza were out there, Be Friendly were out there, and Ortega was out there from Morning Chalk. I think he's working with them, but then the rest of Morning Chalk people were inside. Yeah, nobody from Morning Chalk spoke to me at all the entire time I was there, apart from Ortega. Now, I didn't speak to them either, but I kind of felt like, maybe incorrectly, I felt like the onus was on them to talk to me, because I've never, like, I'm one person, they're a group of 6 or whatever. And then it became a thing of like, I'm not going to talk to them and see how long it takes them to talk to me, but it never happened. But yeah, like great crack out in the outside media room anyway. Now I will say, just if there's Americans confused, so crack, we weren't smoking drugs out in the outside media room, so crack means fun. So it was great fun, but when you say great fun, it just sounds kind of stupid. So you say great crack. No, I haven't had Lauren on the show, Bruce. Way to stand your ground. Yeah, I mean, my wife would call me stubborn, but hey, this is who she married. So yeah, the media room was really great, like really good crack, really good fun. And then yeah, I was covering what do you call them, teams for Be Friendly. So I wasn't really sure what that was going to involve, but it involved like fuck all, to be honest. I'd meet Will or Chad after it's actually spelled CRAIC.
Yeah, that's a bad crack.
Yeah, crack the drug is the bad crack. Anyway, went out. I'd meet Chad after a team event. I fucked it up for the first, or Will, I fucked it up for the first like 3 days or 2 days, where I like broke Will's heart by saying like shit, start again, or shit, sorry, over and over again. And I also met people at the media room when I think I was supposed to meet people outside on the field. But anyway, that was good. Just had to give a quick recap of the events and stuff, and then jumped on Spin a few times, give like quick recaps that weren't very quick. And then in the evenings, we'd go home, Savannah would be doing a show, and I'd jump on that, or we'd go out for dinner. So one of the nights on Thursday night, we went out for dinner. We went to Chick-fil-A because he wanted to go to Chick-fil-A. And I was like, right, we'll go there, grand. Sitting inside, and I said, oh, there's T and Shane outside the window. And obviously you guys thought I was taking the piss, but actually looked out and they were outside. And bizarrely, Tia was wearing her leader's jersey and like full like red shorts, red shoes, white jersey with leader written on it. But we found out afterwards that she was at a Noble yeah, again, a weird name for it, but a night with Tia Toomey was what it was called. So
she had done one during the day in the Noble tent as a meet and greet, and she was wearing that.
Okay, right. It is a bit weird. I would have been like, no, I'll just wear like normal clothes. But anyway, so
whatever I want.
they're outside. Yeah, we were outside and I chatted to them. They were lovely, like really nice, and they had Willow with them as well, and she was wrecked, poor kid. But yeah, they were really nice, really friendly and stuff. And then another night we went to Longhorn Steakhouse for dinner. That was honestly that was fucking nuts. Like that guy, like
could be
we had. So we went.
Could be the best moment of the week outside of the competition side. It was just incredible.
Yeah, like I'd say I laughed more there than I have in years, but like totally inappropriate laughter. So like this guy came over, so we were waiting for our seat for a while. I was like, right, grand. Went in and I brought my laptop and I was kind of trying to edit something together because it was like 9:00 at night and I knew I'd be up late if I didn't start. So waiting for our seat, got our seat, sat down, and I was on my laptop and this guy came over gave us the menus and he was like he goes, how y'all doing tonight? My name's Tyler, I'm going to be your waiter. And I was just kind of like, all right, cool, like thanks or whatever. And I was kind of half doing something on the laptop, half listening to what he was saying. And he goes would you all like to start with some drinks, some bread? And we were like, yeah, like actually, yeah, bread sounds good. And he goes, I'm gonna go and get that baked. I'll get that in the oven for you. And I'll get that in the oven for you, and I'll be back out with some drinks. So he goes off.
He said, I'm gonna get that bread. I'm gonna put it in the oven. I'm gonna bake it up. I'm gonna get some nice cold ice. I'm gonna pour those drinks, and I'll be right back over here and make some great moments and great times.
Yeah, he was like, you're gonna have some great moments. Enjoy your moment. You deserve them. And I was kind of like, I was still kind of half on my laptop, and then I was like, sorry, what the fuck did he just say? Like, what was that? What was that? It was just a steakhouse, Bruce. Just like Longhorn Steakhouse. I'm pretty sure it's a chain. And it was just like, it was nice. Like the food was nice. It was lovely. But he comes back then with the bread. Honestly, fully intended us to believe that he had made the fucking thing from scratch himself. Like the way he was talking about it was like, it was his mama's recipe. Like he was full, like, it was like, like a ham actor doing it. So he put it down anyway. And then he goes, I'm just going to get you all's drinks. You guys are great. You deserve these moments. You love these, you love spending time with each other and you deserve these moments. You earned it. I'm going to get those drinks. And he like goes off, comes back to the drinks, says the same fucking thing again after with the drinks about like, you guys deserve these moments. You earned them, whatever. It was like, geez, like just
right with it.
So he left. Then he came back and then he goes, I'm just going to get your food on the grill. And I was like, right. So he bakes bread and he makes a steak. Brilliant. This is a one-man operation. The woman out the front telling us where our table was, and then this guy, and there's nobody else here.
He was going out the back. He was fixing the toilets. He was putting the meat in the grill. Everything. He was cooking the bacon.
He changed the oil in our car when we were in there. So he comes back out with food. Again, food was lovely. Can't fault it. But he was full, like, just so awful. The way, like, it's just so awful how over the top he was. He was like a caricature of himself. Like he was like, it's like he Googled stock Midwestern phrases that nobody says anymore. And then that was what he went with. And he was like, I'm going to get those on the grill for you right now. And like, he came back and he was like, telling us about the food, but like, again, making it sound like he cooked it. Then he comes, like, we ate food, whatever. He stopped a few times. He's like, y'all enjoying your moments? I hope you're enjoying your moments because you've earned them. It's like, I was like, we could have murdered someone. Like, this could be our alibi. We could have murdered someone outside and we're coming in here to make it look like we're just like, oh yeah, we were here all night. And he's like, you earned these moments. Like, we could be anybody.
But the best thing was, like, that was amazing, right? And we all thought it was unbelievable. Myself and Nicholas especially really appreciated Tyler. I just found him so endearing, even like regardless of whether he was being honest or not. It was fantastic. It was just so brilliant. And then we left, and that was grand. But
wait, the dessert was another. So we got dessert, right? There was like, first of all, there was this thing called chocolate shards or something. 2,465 calories just in one dessert. I was like, nuts. Like, that is insane that was just one dessert. But anyway, we got cheesecake. So the cheesecake came with pecan nuts on it. And I was like, well, I don't really like nuts, so I'm not getting nuts. No, we don't call dessert pudding. We call pudding. And dessert is called dessert. So I got cheesecake, and I said, "Can I have?" You said, "I'll have the cheesecake," and I said, "Oh, I'll have the cheesecake as well. Can I have no pecans on it?" I was like, "Is it possible not to get pecans?" And he goes, "That's no problem. I'm gonna pick them right off. It's more for your friend." And I was like, "Are you literally gonna pick them off and put them on his like in the kitchen?" I was expecting like fingernail marks on my cheesecake. So he goes, "Oh." But before, he was taking our plates as we were ordering the dessert, and he goes, "That's no problem at all. I'm gonna just wash up real quick." And I was like, "Again, are you expecting us to believe that you're carrying the plates back in there, snapping on your rubber gloves, and like getting your brush and washing the dishes?" But yeah, go on. Then when we were leaving, then
yeah, so we left anyway. But that was your last interaction with Tyler, unfortunately.
no. What about what he said when we were leaving?
What did he say when we were leaving?
He was like, "Oh," I said, "Right." He said, "What's your plans out for the rest of the week?" And I was like, "Well, CrossFit Games, and then we're going on Monday." And he was like, "All right, well, if y'all need anything, just holler." It's like, what? Like, imagine us walking in and being like, "Hey, Tyler, we need to lift the airport, please." Like, what do you expect us to be asking for? But yeah, like Alyssa says there, he wanted one fat tip. I guarantee you, he goes one of two ways. People either give him like a $200 tip or nothing. Like just the bare minimum, because he like it was so like you were I'll remortgage my house to give this guy a tip. I was like, I'll give him the lint in my pocket and nothing else, like, because that was just horrendous to suffer through.
Nicholas didn't give him anything.
Holler if you need me. No, Nicholas didn't tip anyone anything. I think that's the Swedish thing though.
Anyway,
but you went back.
That was your last Tyler interaction, and in fairness, I thought it was as well. Got back to the hotel. Created a little shrine for Tyler, had a few prayers, thought, geez, I'll never see that fella again. Then fast forward 2 nights later, and myself, Nicholas, the 2 boys that run Relentless Method app thing, and another fella who I can't remember his name, but it was really nice. We all went back to Longhorn Steakhouse. We walked straight in the door. I went straight up to your one, and she hadn't said hello when I said, "Is Tyler here?" And she just looked at me and said, well, yeah, do you guys need a table? I said, I need a table for me and all the boys, and we need Tyler. And she just was like, well, okay. And Tyler came around the corner, and man, his face lit up. I mean, he had the biggest smile on his face. And I was like, Tyler. And he was like, my guys are back, no problem. Let's get you into the seats and let's get these moments happening. And I turned around and looked at the boys, because me and Nicholas had told the lads what he was like. And I had said they were probably like, oh, yeah, whatever. And when he said that, I turned around and looked at the lads, and they were all like, oh my God, he's real. And he brought us to the tables, and we just had the exact same interaction. But at the very end, he gave us our bills. And on the top of my bill, I should have taken a photo of it, but at the top of my bill, it was like, lovely meeting you. Thanks for everything. And then at the end, he said, I said, oh, we might come back or whatever. And he says, well, thanks so much, guys. I'm actually off for 2 days, so maybe I'll catch you out and about. Maybe we'll catch some beers and maybe catch a game and see what's happening. It's like, how do we contact you? Like, we don't even have your number. So it was, I thought that was amazing.
I think I say he's probably the type of person who just say his name 3 times, he'll just appear, and then that's it. Like,
a giant T.
There's quite the interactions going on here. Sean Lenderman says, "I love nuts," and Odd says, "Me too, Sean, in my mouth." Great. She was kicked out of Be Friendly's podcast about 10 minutes ago, so God knows what she said there. So yeah, the food scenario, like I breakfast was included in my hotel, and it like it's fucking. I sent you a picture of it the first day. So it was like sausage was not a sausage. Biscuits, sausage in gravy. Like, I was flabbergasted when I opened the lid of that. I genuinely was speechless, where I was just like, I'm looking at soup. I'm looking at white soup, and you're calling it sausages and gravy. Just bizarre. Then anyway, I think I had breakfast there like twice, and I just had mainly fruit and yogurt. But yeah, Thursday really cranked up. Like, the energy required, the effort required, the amount of stuff to cover, the amount of stuff that you to try and get to see, the amount of stuff you had to miss, like the choices you had to make, everything just cranked up to like 40, where it was
And the amount
like,
of people there and the heat all cranked up as well.
yeah, it was stupid hot. And there was a shit ton of people. But no, it was like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Like we were in Big Dane Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I interviewed Torres on Wednesday in Big Dane. Everyone was relaxed. All the athletes were relaxed. Like anyone organizing stuff was relaxed. We were relaxed. We could go wherever we wanted. It was just so chill. Thursday, it was like someone flicked a switch and it was just like, right, it's going to be packed with people. You're not going to be able to get from A to B quickly, but you're going to have to get from A to B quickly. You're going to need to choose, do you want to watch the age groups or the individuals or the teams? Because you won't be able to watch all three of them because they're going to be in different places. Or if you're watching the individuals, you're probably going to have to go back to the media room and do something before the teams come on, and you're not going to have time to get back there and get back out. So best of luck. There was that was kind of the vibe for basically every day until it kind of calmed down halfway through Saturday. And then Sunday was pretty chill again, where there wasn't a lot on and you had loads of time between events and stuff. So you can kind of understand when they're talking about cutting the field, you can kind of understand like why they want to trim the field a bit and why they do the cuts, because it does make things a lot more consumable and like easier and stuff. And yeah, Big Dane on Wednesday. I know I'm going back and forth, but I just keep remembering different bits. Interviewed Torres, asked him if he's going out with Daniel Brannan without actually asking him, and he said he was without actually saying he was. That was funny. But he's good natured about it. And he kind of laughed about it afterwards and and during. And what else do we do then? Thursday, individuals kicked off, teams kicked off, the cycle and the bikes. That was hectic. And it kind of, I don't know how you felt about it, but I felt like most of the games, I kind of just felt like I wasn't really sure what was going on with anything. Like I was kind of wasn't really sure who was where on the leaderboard or what workout was next or what had just happened, because I felt like I was always finishing doing something when the next thing was already starting or had started.
I think not having the recap, like when you're watching it online day in, day out, then you get a recap, you get an understanding, you see the leaderboard, you hear what's happened, they focus in on people and then the event starts. Whereas, you know, we were, say, in the Coliseum for something, and when that ended, say the individuals were just about to kick off, so we just walked from one place to the next, got to North Park, next minute the workout started. So we were kind of like, well, you know, I don't know what's happened. Maybe is there anyone missing? Did someone get hurt? Who was in the lead? Like, you just didn't know. So in one sense, it was kind of like exciting when you get home to the hotel that night and go, oh, look, all these things happened. But at the other side of it, it would be cool to be like, oh, I kind of have an idea of where the race is here, regardless of who's actually racing in the event. Like,
Chad said it was great meeting you in person. It's good meeting you as well, Chad. And he said Mikey's a gem of a man. Yeah, well, wait till you hear his choice of music. Yeah, I think that was probably my biggest takeaway, was that like I missed a lot, I think. Where I, like, people were like, oh, it's crazy what happened and whatever, and I'm like, what happened? Like, whereas sitting watching at home, I'd have like my finger on every pulse, like I'd know everything that's going on in every relevant category to me anyway. Whereas in this, I knew everything that was happening in teams. I had a very vague idea of what was happening in men's and a very vague idea of what was happening in women's up until maybe like Friday night, Saturday morning. Then I felt like, okay, I actually understand everything that's happening everywhere now. I'm not as confused, or I'm not as like kind of lost. But I suppose it's just hard because I think that's one of the things, without wanting to sound like poor me or whatever, but it is hard when you're there for work and you're like doing a job, and you have things that either deadlines you've been given or deadlines you've given yourself, and you need to try and get stuff done. And it's like, no matter how good the next event is, like maybe you just can't go and watch it. Or like say on Friday, at individual registration on whatever day, Tuesday or Wednesday, Snorri was like, oh, do you want to interview Sarah? She's going to be at the Toe Spacer thing. I can get you time with her if you want. And I was like, yeah, sure, like no problem. So he was like, okay, cool. But like that event was off site and it was at like 1 o'clock or whatever. So like that, I was faced with a choice of like, right, do I leave the games and go and interview her, or do I stay at the games and miss the opportunity to A, to interview her, and B, to cultivate some kind of relationship where I could have her on the show again another time or whatever. So I chose to go, but like again, you're missing stuff then doing that. Like and another thing, like say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was great. Probably didn't make enough use of that time because you can kind of wander around the vendor village and like stop and chat to people and, you know, again, kind of cultivate relationships or whatever. Whereas like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, fucking forget about it. Like, first of all, they close at like 3:00 on Saturday and Sunday, which is just so stupid. That's not the vendor's choice, obviously. It's the game's choice. So like there's people leaving, like hundreds and hundreds of people leaving, and nowhere to go. They just have to leave. So I really thought that was a missed opportunity. But I did get to talk to, like, say, Paper Street and, you know, like LSKD and like loads of others, which is great. Like, and yeah, like I think it does come, like a lot of it does come down to those things where it's like, yeah, it would be nice to do this, but I need to do that. Or like, yeah, it would be nice to just kind of go and hang out with, like Khan was knocking around, like, yeah, it'd be great to hang out with him for a while, but like I actually have to do work, like, and I just found like I was, you know, you constantly need to kind of remind yourself of that like I can't just do whatever I want. I have to do what I have to do.
I think for me, going from, say, wherever we were shooting back to the media room, like the only thing outside of doing the jobs I had or working with Filthy was I just wanted to see how many fist bump photos I could get. And I knew my chance to get them was walking from either the Coliseum to North Park or North Park to the Coliseum or wherever back to the media room. So I would always kind of go through Vendor Village, just see who was knocking around or that. And I found like, the Tuesday, Wednesday, mostly Tuesday and Wednesday, I was like, oh, you're getting so many. Like there's just everyone there. And everyone was so kind of like, oh yeah, that's cool. And we do it. And then from Thursday onwards, it was like, even walking around with a camera in the Vendor Village was like, oh, I had to make sure my cameras were beside me because there was just so many people everywhere, you know, they'd be knocking off. But yeah, they were my opportunities. Mean for time.
Look at that picture. That's a great picture.
That's a good photo. That's far from a meme
picture. It just got very hectic, like very busy. But still good crack, like, but it just was very busy. And I think I kind of made peace with it as well on, say, like Friday, where I was just kind of like, all right, you're just gonna have to miss out and stuff, and that's fine. Like it's fine to just miss stuff. So yeah, I went to interviewed Sarah. That was great. Watched the sandbag workout with her and Snorri and Luke, and that was great. That was actually the first time. Snorri said that was the first time they'd ever watched a games workout together or a CrossFit workout together. I think he said, like, any competition, because she's always competing or has obligations, or he's always with athletes or whatever. So that was interesting. And then got a set of toe spacers, which my wife won't let me use because, like, it's disgusting. And then Saturday and Sunday, more of the same, really. To be honest, the 4 days were all kind of very similar, of doing a lot of work, trying not to stay out in the sun for too long, trying not to miss anything, accepting that you're going to miss some shit. But like just trying to make the best possible version of what you can do. And I'd say in the evenings then, like, I was probably going to sleep out like 1 or 2 after doing the vlogs and stuff. And again, steep learning curve there. Like, did the first one with Hiller. I was like, oh, this is so long, no one's going to watch it. Uploaded it, went to look back at it, was like fucking 4 minutes or something. The like cut loads of stuff out because I thought it was going to be too long. So that was a learning curve. Next one, like, you know, other mistakes. Basically everyone I made mistakes, and then every one I tried not to make the same mistakes the last time, which I'm sure is something you're familiar with as well. Then the weekend was great. Like Saturday, Sunday, probably the most. Sunday was the most actual CrossFit I got to watch, like where I didn't miss anything. Like sometimes if I was up in the media room doing something, I might have YouTube open and be watching whatever was on. But Sunday I actually got to sit and watch like basically everything that was happening. And also on Thursday, I was trying to like figure out how to interview people, and it was really hard. Like, it was really hard to get people anywhere. But on Friday, I found what I think is a colorblind security guard, because I had a blue wristband and there was a thing on the wall behind him that had like 5 wristbands that could get into where I wanted to go. and one of them was purple. And I was taking a picture of the board, and I was going to send it to someone and be like, is there any way I can get any of these bands? Because back there is where the athletes walked from North Park back to the athlete like area, and from the Coliseum back to the athlete area. So I knew that's where I needed to be, but I knew I wasn't allowed in there. And as I was taking a picture of it to send it to the person, he looked at my wristband. He looked directly at the blue wristband, looked at the board, which didn't have a blue wristband on it, looked back at me and said, yeah, no problem, you can go in. I was like, no, I don't think. And he was like, no, yeah, you're fine. And I was like, okay. So then I just kept going back to that guy and walking in past. It was like, hey, and he's like, hey, how are you? And like, let me walk in every time. Definitely shouldn't have been in there, but fuck it, I don't care. So Chris, the PR guy, walked past at one stage. I hid behind a pillar till he was gone, and then came out. Friday, got loads of interviews on Friday, like loads of people just walking up and down. People were so gracious, like just walking up being like, oh, is it okay if I walk with you? They'd be like, yeah, no problem, flick on the camera, and they just chat away. I didn't have anybody like get pissed off or say no or anything. Like they were all so gracious, so giving with their time. Then on Friday, that was on Friday, I think. And then on Saturday, I took a punt where I saw Keith walking towards me and I saw Colton Mertens walking towards me. And I was like, if I don't talk to Colton, Keith definitely won't notice that I'm here. But if I do talk to Colton, Keith will notice that I've been here. And if I talk to Colton, I get to talk to Colton. And if I don't talk to him, I won't get to talk to him. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just talk to him. So in fairness to Keith, he let me finish talking to him. And then he came over and was like, technically you can't be in here. And I was like, oh, like played dumb. I was like, oh, the guy in the red t-shirt let me in. So I just assumed. He was like, no, you need one of these wristbands. So I was like, well, how do I get one of those? He's like, you can't. And I was like, okay, what if I do get one of them? He's like, well, I guess technically if you get one of them, you can be in here. But like, now you could be escorted in there by someone with I can't remember what color it was. Maybe it was black or red. He's like, you can be escorted in there by someone with one of these wristbands. But like, and I was like, well, you got one of those. Can you escort me in there? And he's like, well, yeah, but if I'd have to stay with you then, because he was like, if I leave, then you have to leave. But I can bring you in there, or I can bring you through it, but I can't just leave you in there. And I was like, all right, okay. So then I was like, well, can you bring me into the vendor village? Because there was a shortcut where we were. And he was like, yeah, I can escort you in there. So he like brought me over, and he was like, sorry, like, I don't want to be that guy, but you can't, you just can't be in there. It's the athlete walkthrough area and whatever. And I was like, yeah, no problem. Like, don't worry about it. Went up to Paper Street. And I was like, they had told me at the start of the week, like, oh, we have a vendor pass. Like, if you ever need it for anything, just let us know. And I was like, cool. Can I have your vendor pass? They're like, yeah, put on my wrist, went back outside. Keith was gone, but the red t-shirt guy was like, shit, man, you work fast. So then, because I had that vendor pass, I was able to be in there all the time. So I got, I'd say about 40 different interviews just by virtue of like finding myself in that spot. Now Keith came back to me the next day and was like, oh, you got 2 wristbands. He's like, technically you can't have one of those, like you're gonna need to cut one of those. And I was like, right, well, if someone tells me to cut it, I'll cut it, but up until then I'm just keeping it on. So I kept it until Sunday, got away with it until Sunday. Now in hindsight, that could stop me getting a media pass in the future, because they could be like, well, you broke the rules repeatedly the last time you were here, so no, you can't come back. But I mean, I actually don't think I broke a rule.
No, I think that's just, I suppose that's just more crowd control of who they know is going in there versus who they don't know. And I mean, it caused no issue. They know who you were, so there was no possibility of like anything bad happening there. I think it's just to avoid crowding in those areas when an athlete is walking from A to B.
Yeah, I think the thing is as well, I think I got the media pass by virtue of just I put my own name down, and I put like associated with Filthy 150 and Be Friendly. But because I put my own name down, I suppose my main worry is like, oh, if I put my name down next year, they're going to say, no, you're the guy who whatever. But like, fuck it, I can't really do anything about that, to be honest. Jake says, Jesus Christ, this is like one of my daughter's stories. Hey, why don't you tell me something about like car racing or something on the Isle of Man, or bike racing or something, Jake? That'd be great, because that's not boring at all. And everybody loves to hear about that shit. But we got loads of content there anyway. And then I was able to walk. The thing I got was the guys in the red shirts genuinely didn't give a fuck. Like, they just did not care at all. But they were all apart from one guy, they were all incredibly energetic, incredibly friendly, incredibly happy. Like I saw Ben Smith give one of the guys on the door like a pair of his nobles. That was cool. Like they were so like that you could not be in a good mood. You couldn't not be in a good mood meeting one of them because like they must have.
Is that one guy you're speaking about? The guy who just sat at the door going?
Yeah, I did not stand up once for the entire week.
I asked him once. I said I was walking towards him. This was like I don't know what day it was, but I was walking towards him. I was like, man, that guy just looks bet. And I said, well, how's it going? Are you having a good time? And he just looked at me and said, I'm working. I said, you're definitely not working anyway.
him getting paid the same as the other guys. It's disgusting. Like the guys, I don't know what they were supposed to do, but what most of them did was they'd stand and open the door, which, like, to be honest, I was kind of like, oh, look, I can open the door myself. Like, it's a bit, like, maybe it's their job or whatever, but it just seemed a bit ridiculous. Or they'd say, like, when you're walking through the media area or walking through, like, putting your bag up, they were just so high energy. All of them were like, hey, how are you? To every single person they met. And they must have met thousands. Yeah. But yeah, that one guy did not stand up once, did not touch the door once. It was just like sitting, like, really far back in his chair. And you'd just be like, you'd be like, hey, and you just get a grunt, like nothing else. But the rest of them were like fist bumps, high fives, like, you know, hey, how are you? Good to see you. Like they were so good. Yeah, like Jessica's saying there, like the red guys are amazing. They were unbelievable, like so good. And what else do we have to talk about then? So that's all the kind of media. Someone asked there earlier on, if you were doing it again, Mikey, would you do anything differently? Where the fuck was that comment?
Would I do anything different?
There you go. Amy.
Oh, Amy, how are you getting on? I would probably rent maybe like a 400 or a 100 to 400 lens.
Just explain that in like normal, like non-geek speak. What does that actually mean?
I would rent a lens that would allow me to look further towards the athletes. I just found some workouts, especially like with the rig out in North Park, bike workouts in the Coliseum, I think would have allowed you to get just that little bit closer. I don't think it's necessary. I think with a lot of the cameras these days will allow you to crop in very close. But yeah, 100 to 400, I think, as Will said, probably would bring one of them. I didn't feel like I was struggling, but it definitely would have been good fun to have one. I definitely could see a couple of moments where I'd be like, hey, this could be good fun.
What's a telephoto lens?
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's one you can make calls on, is it?
Yeah, basically, it zooms in really far, and you can also make phone calls. It's
perfect.
You know, but yeah, that's probably what I would have done.
No, this is not what I want this to be, guys. So Troy Dagger says I shot with a 300. That means absolutely nothing to me. Will says $110 for like 5 days for that rental. Yeah,
in Ireland, I probably would have had to get 100. 100, probably 560. I think it would have been 550, 560 for the time. It's just the rental prices in Ireland are crazy. But yeah, I probably would do that next time.
Is that same as renting a car? Like you rent the lens and then do they check it when you bring it, like if it's scratched or scuffed or whatever?
Deposit and stuff like that. So, but that's probably the only thing. I felt like
I heard some other people buy them and then return, like buy them with like a 14-day, no return and then return it. But that's probably more risky than just renting it, is it? Because if you bring it back, they'll.
Plus, you need to have the money to buy it in the first place. So,
yeah, or a credit card. I think the person I was talking to, you just use a credit card.
Yeah, I've heard people do that. All right,
yeah. So yeah, Be Friendly stuff. Covered that for them. Did a show with Can and PC in the Vendor Village. That was good crack. It's great seeing Can. I only ever get to see Can at this kind of stuff, or if he's on the show. So it's great seeing him, and he's in a great mood. Which must be hard. Like, it must be hard. I was thinking the same with Travis Mayer. There's a few there that weren't competing, and you just kind of feel like, oh, it just must be shit. Like, it's watching everyone else. And Travis was really honest about it, and Sarah was really honest about it as well, saying like, yeah, it is shit. Like, it is, like, it's annoying watching the build up on other people's pages is annoying. But then Travis was like, actually standing here and watching the athletes walk out for an event is like gut wrenching, because you're like, fuck, like I'm, you know. And I think Khan was probably the same, but was hiding it very well. And I suppose he was injured as well. But like, you know, Travis was like, I'm firing all cylinders. Like he's like, I could go out there now, and you know, I won't. I'm not injured anymore. Like, you know, but it's obviously just the timing of the sport makes it kind of hard. And yeah, cover that stuff for Be Friendly. That was great. I assume this is PC because Brian Friend would never give a compliment that readily. Peter and Can crushed it. Yeah, it was good. Good fun. Like it's easy. Chatting to Can, and you know, in that kind of scenario is really easy. And what else then? Filthy 150 stuff. We did. Oh, did you take that picture? That shot, that sexy shot I got of Will Branstetter running with his rig was on the 300mm prime. That's a great picture. If you've seen that. And yeah, Filthy 150 stuff then we covered. So what we tried to do for that was we were kind of given basically creative control. It was like we kind of came up with the idea of we'll put up the times every night for the next day so people can watch it. We'll put up the link. We'll try and give a recap of every event and every day. That was the aim, and do a mix of like posts and reels. So you took the pictures and did the videos and stuff, and then I wrote the caption or whatever at the end, which is funny because like we were both kind of saying in different ways. Like I was like, geez, I'd never be able to do like what you can do. Like it's the stuff, and then you were the same with, you were like, I need captions. Like I can't write a caption. Yeah, it's funny. Like both of us think the thing we do is easy and the other thing is hard or whatever. But yeah, that was good. It was fairly straightforward, fairly easy. Obviously, like a bit shit, like Emma couldn't do what she wanted to do. Sam, I thought was fantastic. Like I don't know what I want him to do. Like obviously he's going to do whatever he wants to anyway himself, but I can't decide if I want him to do another year of team or go back to individual. I reckon he'll go back individual. I kind of think he might move to Georgia maybe, at least partially or something. But I think like he was different class. I don't mean any disrespect to this, but he was different class to the rest of his team, and he was different class to most of the people in his heats. He was just a step above. And like there's a lot of people talking about going from team to individual, and you're kind of like, really? Like, you know, are you sure? Like, are you sure that's a great idea? Like, you know, are you sure maybe another year team, or maybe like individual maybe isn't for you? Like, so, but with Sam, watching Sam, you're kind of like, he just had this, he constantly looked comfortable. Like, as in, like, obviously he was in pain during workouts and stuff, but like he looked like he belonged. He wasn't overawed at any time by any of the workouts or the situations or the scenarios or anything. I never heard him complaining about the workouts or his performance, or I never heard him like, you know, talking negatively to himself or about himself, which is really good. He looked like he was
in control all the time.
Yeah, and in control of the team. I felt like he was like a silent leader a lot of the time. Like he was obviously shouting at them and stuff at other times, but a lot of the time he just led by example, and he was just like, I was very, very impressed with him. And I think that the whatever year 2021 version of Sam compared to this Sam that I saw in Madison this weekend, two totally different like specimens or whatever, two totally different athletes, and like, you know, upstairs as well. I think it's a big change.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he is.
I think some key moments or whatever that stood out to me. There was one workout in the teams. I know no one gives a fuck about teams, but I do. And there's one workout in the teams where it was at the very end of the workout. Everything was a bit up in the air. It was like, if Proven win this workout, they could push on and win the whole thing. If Invictus win this workout, they could push on and win the whole thing. Same with Oslo. In this workout, Oslo were kind of nowhere to be seen. It was like Rings and Bob, I think it was. And it finished with a Bob push over the line. And Proven got to the Bob first. And Invictus got there, I'd say about 3 seconds later. But they just gunned it. Like they just went so fast. Proven were like slipping and struggling and like looking at each other and giving out to each other and eye roll and stuff. And Invictus just looked like one single fluid unit just pushing through to the end. And like I was like, they just won the games there. Like obviously they have to see out the rest of the workouts and stuff, but that's I remember hearing like Fraser and Hinshaw and stuff talking about snapping the band, where like when you're running with someone, you pass them out and that's fine. But then if you can pass them by enough of a distance, they'll just give up. Like they might not consciously give up, but they'll slow down. They'll be like, oh, I'm not catching them. Or if you can, like, I've often heard about people who run on, like in a run, they'll go around a corner, and as they go around the corner or around a hill, they'll sprint as hard as they can to put a big gap between, so when the person comes around the corner, they're deflated and they're like, oh fuck. But like I feel like that thing was Invictus's snapping of the band. When they pushed that bob so quickly and so powerfully past Proven, I think the band snapped, and the best Proven could hope for was second. And they just, I think if the games programming last year had been the same as this year, Invictus would have won it last year as well, and Mayhem wouldn't have won it. Because I think Invictus they were like properly good, and that's probably the best I've seen Oslo. But the fact that they could only finish third showed how good Invictus were and how good Proven were as well. Yeah. But yeah, that was really cool. Obviously, all the Roman stuff was really cool. It was just
I think for me, what a moment. Someone asked me in the gym the other day. It was like, "Oh, what was your like top 3 favorite moments?" Both to do with the games and not to do with the games. And I was kind of saying, "Oh, I got to meet a guy from one of my favorite bands randomly, which was very cool. He was there. Meeting Jocko was very cool. But I think for me, I was thinking back on it today, after looking at the games for the last couple of years and North Park and the Coliseum being very iconic, and then having worked with specifically McQuaid and Sam so closely for the last year, I remember being in North Park and watching them run out for the first time. I was like, oh, like this is the real deal. Like they're actually on the main stage. I was so proud. I was like, this is so cool. Like this is the highest level that you can get to in the sport, and there they are. Just and like I felt like they're two such high level athletes, but their personalities never change regardless. Like you can still see the cheeky smile and get the fist bump from Sam and how are you going on the side, even though he's just about to either do a huge workout or has done a big workout. Or if McQuaid sees you, she'll still, acknowledge it with a thumbs up or a smile or that. And I think that kind of interaction, I was like, wow, it doesn't get bigger than this. And there's the two of them there. I think overall that was probably my favorite memory of it.
No, it was great. It was really good. I hope we get to do it again. Then, like, I suppose next year, then there was a lot of talk about changes and stuff, and there was kind of rumors and like whispers and shit going around. I reckon what's going to happen, and I haven't heard this from anyone, like, as in, this is just conjecture or guesswork or whatever, just kind of pieced together from different things. I think it's going to move to like Texas or Tennessee or somewhere. I think it's going to be a reduced field. I think we're going to go back to sanctionals and away from semifinals. I think age groups will be taken over by legends, and maybe Pit Fitness might take over the teens. But CrossFit will still like own it, or like they'll still provide the qualifiers or whatever, I guess, because they need that open registration money. And I think they'll give the adaptive to Wheelwad in a sort of a like, well, you've asked for it, so now you can have it. So, like, stop complaining to us about it, basically. And then they won't have to worry about annoying people or pissing people off or letting people down or anything like that. They'll just be like the licensed events or whatever. And I think the sanctionals thing will happen because if they're reducing the field, so what would be worse, right? You turn around to Africa or Asia and say, right, you guys get no spots. Sorry. You guys are gone. Or would it be worse to say to North America East or Europe or Oceania or whatever, no, sorry, you guys are losing spots because we have to keep spots in Africa or Asia or whatever. And I don't mean any disrespect to any of the athletes, like Ant Haynes did really well, like, like I'm not having a go or whatever, but either way you're going to piss someone off. If you tell Asia they're losing spots, or Africa they're losing spots, or Oceania they're losing spots, or if you tell North America or like Europe or wherever that they're losing spots because those other ones can't lose spots, someone's going to be pissed off either way. So I think the only way that you get around that is by having sanctionals, whether they're CrossFit owned and operated, or whether some of them are, or whether none of them are, or whether they all share the same programming or whether they're different, I think sanctions is the only way that they can stop people whinging and complaining about, oh, but it's not fair that Africa gets a spot and we have to lose a spot, or it's not fair that Africa doesn't get 5 spots or whatever. It just stops that straight away. So if you have 2 sanctionals in Europe, 3 in America, 1 in Africa, 1 in Asia, whatever, and you just pick how many people qualify from each of them, and then let the athletes go wherever they can afford to go and let them compete wherever they can afford to compete. You qualify in the same well, I don't know how you qualify. Maybe through qualifiers or else through your open quarterfinals, and then you can get placed based off where you ask or whatever, where like based off where you put down. But sorry, what's this? So how do the other entities run championships if CrossFit gets the open money and they get no money from people signing up for qualifiers? I assume CrossFit just gives them a budget. I don't really know. I don't know the ins and outs, but my point is, I don't think CrossFit are going to completely relinquish any kind of ownership or operation of those things, because I think at some stage they might want to bring it back. I think they could just employ legends to run it, or they could just employ Pit Fitness, or they could employ Wheelwad as outside contractors, but run it, fund it themselves or whatever. But I don't know. This is all just seems likely, but could be totally off. Sanctions might never happen. They might stick with semifinals. They might like not reduce the field. I don't fucking know. Like, it's just all guesswork. I think if they do, regardless of whether they reduce the field or regardless of what the mode of qualifier is, if they do that with qualifiers, though, they're also going to have super teams back fully then, because you can't really expect an affiliate team of 4 to travel from North America to France or whatever. So I don't know, they're going to have to look at that anyway. But I think if they do it to maximize opportunities for vendors, sponsors, all that kind of stuff, they should stick to the Monday to Sunday thing, and they should have teams competing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and individuals competing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I think that way you get full bang for your buck. The vendor village would be packed. There'd still be loads of stuff to watch. You'd still have loads of opportunities to be there, instead of just having we'll just do teams and individuals and we'll just do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because then you're asking people to travel to a different country for 4 days, which is rough. You're asking sponsors and vendors and all that stuff to fork out a lot of money to be there for a very short period of time with condensed but a narrow window of foot traffic, which isn't good either. So I think that'd be a really good way to do it. But I mean, fuck, I don't have a clue. They could do anything. I don't know.
Sounds good. Yeah. Well, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't particularly care too much, but I just hope to be at whatever it is.
Yeah, same. So next then, I'm trying to think, okay, there's whatever, 40 odd people watching. If you're watching this hoping for some breakdown of the workouts, don't go back and watch Shut Up and Scribble from last night, because not touching that. Get With the Programming as well was on last night as well. Go and watch one of the 2 of those. If you want to watch that kind of stuff, if you want to look at the leaderboard breakdown and that kind of stuff, go and watch Barbell Spin from yesterday as well, I think, and the day before maybe, and then go and watch Be Friendly, because they talked about that today. Because I'm not an expert in that kind of stuff, but this is literally just my experience. So sorry if there's people going, oh, for fuck's sake, I've sat through an hour and 25 minutes and he's not going to talk about what was wrong with Medeiros. But yeah, I don't know. I think Medeiros was concussed. But anyway, the next up then we have, so we might be going to Madrid, maybe. And we might be going to Wadapalooza, maybe. And we might be going to the games next year, maybe. My plans are, I'm going to keep doing the vlog, and I'm going to try and incorporate some trips to different places with the vlog. So maybe visit the program, maybe visit Emma, maybe visit No Shortcuts or WIT or wherever. And then you have come to Wadapalooza in California. I fucking doubt it. I'd say I'll get one next year, and it's going to be the January Miami one is the most likely one. I have to take time off work for this. I have to be I essentially have to go to school and say, Sorry, I'm really sick. I'm actually going to be out for 5 days.
I have to see a doctor in Miami.
Yeah, I have to go to a specialist in Florida. So I'll be back. I'll be back and I'll be totally fine when I come back. There'll be nothing wrong with me when I come back. And I also have to consider family and stuff as well. Like that, it did put a real big like level of stress on my wife, being away for like 7 days or whatever, and like my kids are young and they're intense and shit. So my plan is, fuck, will I say this out loud? Yeah, fuck it, I will. My plan is that, so in February of this year, February of like 2024, our school year goes from September to June. And in February, you have to apply for a career break for a year. So you have to tell them, oh, I'm not coming back next year. And then you leave your job, you don't get paid, but your job remains there for you, but you can't come back to that job until the next September, like so 12 months later or whatever. Or you can reapply the following February and say, oh, I need a second year off or whatever. And I think you can do it for like 5 years. And then you have to either quit your job or come back. So my plan is in February, I want to be in a position to go to my job and say, I need a year off starting in September. And I'm just going to give it a year to see what I can make happen. And if 1 turns into 2 or 2 turns into 3, whatever. But obviously to do that, I need to make up the difference that I'll be losing in my wages with money coming in from this. And there currently isn't a lot of money coming in from this. But if I can make it happen, it means that I can basically just do this full time. So what I could do is on like a Tuesday, I could, we don't have Venmo, Will, but thanks. On Tuesday, I could drop my kids to school on Tuesday, fly to Mallorca, go and visit the program, like do stuff with them, come back the next morning, collect my kids from school the next day, and only miss one night. And it wouldn't affect my work or it wouldn't affect anything. So I think that's my aim, is that in February I can turn around to work and say, hey guys, I'm off. See you in 12 months or 18 months or whatever. So obviously, so the things that are putting me in a position to want to do that are, 1, the show has grown in popularity, which is great. 2, there's like crossover to Savan and to, you know, all those kind of things, which is great. And, you know, has given extra eyes and has helped this show grow more. So like I can never express my gratitude to Savan and Will and Taylor and Tyler and all those, like Spin, Be Friendly, all those guys who have allowed me to come onto theirs and to help or whatever. It's been great. So because of that, and then I think as well, being at the games and having FaceTime with all the people and being like, oh, they actually know who I am, and like I actually have a good relationship with this person. Because, you know, it's kind of like when if you're like, I haven't done this in years, obviously, but if you're like texting a girl and you think, does she like me or not like me? And I can't really work it out or whatever. That's all this is. You're talking to someone on camera, you're texting them, you're DMing them or whatever. You've no idea what the relationship is like, or you've no idea, is it an actual relationship or are they just being polite or whatever. But then being at the games and meeting like Ariel Lowen and meeting like whoever, Al Shama or O'Keefe or Fraser or whoever, and having them be like, oh, hey, how are you? You're kind of like, oh shit, like there actually is a tangible thing that, you know. And I think it made me realize as well that if I asked O'Keefe, hey, can I come to Vermont for a weekend and film with you guys and record a podcast, I think I'd be told yes. If I asked like the program, or like, I feel like there's about maybe 6 or 7 different training programs that I could ask that question and get a positive response. Whereas I think if you asked me that 2 weeks ago before I left for the games, I'd be like, oh, I haven't a clue. I don't think so. I think I'd be imposing, or I think I'd be whatever. There, Jan gave me £10. Thanks, Jan. That's very kind of you. Oh, you look like you like Jan. That looks like the kind of music you like.
He's got a tattoo on his leg. He's wearing shorts and he's holding the mic. He's in a hardcore band, I think.
And he's shouting as well.
Yeah.
There is media imposter syndrome. Yeah, like it's even like, so yeah, there's a certain aspect of media imposter syndrome where I think Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I was like, do I know what I'm doing? Like, what am I actually doing here? And do other people think I'm a dickhead and not doing anything right, or like, you know, is this shit or is it good? I don't know. But then I think the imposter syndrome left me, I think, for good on Friday, where I was like, I am doing really good. And this isn't like, the vlogs aren't perfect or whatever, but I know they're decent. I know the show is good. And I was given a lot of confidence by just being able to walk up to athletes and talk to them and stuff. So I think the imposter syndrome is gone. But I think now it's a case of like fiscally and financially, can I make it work that I can, you know, go and not quit my job, but like, you know, take a break. But obviously it's a big reach. You've done it, but you have other streams of income, I suppose, with weddings and shit.
Yeah, well, I was let go, I suppose. I wouldn't have. I probably would have kept going another while. But yeah, I'm lucky. I split my time between CrossFit and music industry and a few weddings. So,
do you reckon where do you reckon the first city? I genuinely don't think it'll ever move out of America. Like they've said,
I think Berlin is one of the only highest possibilities.
Yeah, Berlin or Amsterdam, just because of the size of airports and stuff. But I really don't think it's going to move out of America. I think it's a great line. I think if they say, hey guys, we need to make it a bit smaller so that we can, you know, we can't just move it from Madison to France. We need to make it a bit smaller first, and we need to make sure it works, and we need to make sure that it's good packaging for TV and that it can be moved abroad easily. I think that's all horseshit. I think you can stop talking after, we need to make sure it's good packaging for TV. I think they're going to cut the field so that they can keep the ESPN deal going for 5-6 years, whatever. They've made an agreement with them, and I think they need to get to that. I cannot see it moving abroad because, like, it already doesn't make money. Like, it's already losing money now. So, like, move it to Australia. Good luck. Like, imagine how much money that would cost. Imagine how many people you'd piss off saying, like, to all the teams from America, all the athletes, hey guys, you're going to need to go to Australia. I don't think it's ever going out of America. I'd be surprised if it does. Is there an enormous rogue? Yeah, there's a warehouse in Amsterdam, or somewhere in Holland, Rotterdam or somewhere anyway. Yeah, Holland. But I still don't see it. I still don't see it moving out of America. I can't see it. I can see myself quitting my job full time before I see it. America. And that's saying something. But yeah, I just don't see it. I don't see it happening. So you're doing turf games now in Dublin next weekend?
Yes, I'm going to Disneyland in 5 hours.
Oh wow.
And then in Paris for 3 days. And then I come home, and I'm assuming I'll probably do a shoot with Sam for Build for Athletes someday next week. And then have turf games on the Saturday. And then a week of editing, and then probably Electric Picnic. I'm shooting at Electric Picnic.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm shooting with a couple of artists there. And then I suppose start looking towards Filthy 150 and head back up and see McQuaid and see what the rest of the year is looking like. Yeah, just pump out some content that I got. We obviously just dropped a reel today for the Filthy reel.
That's cool.
And yeah, see what else I can kind of put together with the content I got at the games and keep pushing forward, you know, having some fun.
Making some moments, enjoying some moments.
I was going to say that, but then I was like, oh, is that too niche?
Pedro, you come back to Waterpalooza, that's the plan, but I don't know, it depends on family and finances and work and everything else. Yeah, so if anybody here hasn't watched it, go, well, first of all, so I don't say this lightly, and I hate giving people compliments in person. Mikey's one of the best videographers or creators. Like, I've had conversations with him where he explains what he's thinking of and what he's planning days before he gets to somewhere, and like he has an idea, like a picture in his head or a scrapbook in his head, sort of what it's going to look like, and he does it and he creates it, and it always looks better than he describes it, probably because I can't understand it. So he deserves, just whatever, 57 people watching this now, all of you should go and follow Mikey and like all of his content and help get it onto more eyes, because I think it's just like there's a lot of creators out there with a lot of followers, and I think Mikey should be one of them. And I was pretty close to saying there, like, fuck, all of them deserve them. But I think that'd probably be hard. But I think Mikey definitely deserves more. After you do that, then go back. Shut up, Mikey. After you do that, then go back to the main page of this show and watch the vlogs that I put up, and watch like them. And I'm just gonna write in Mikey Aldridge Media. Is that right? Mikey Aldridge Media. Yeah? No, I spelled it wrong. Fuck's sake.
Wrong. It's something like that. You'll find it.
Mikey Aldridge Media. There. That's right. Now, go and follow that page and like and comment on the stuff he's putting up. There's 80, so his page should jump by at least like 30, because some of you might already follow him. And then go and watch the YouTube. And I don't think I've ever said this, but go and subscribe and like it. And if you enjoy something on it, put it up in your story, because like that shit does matter. Like, it does make a difference, and it makes it easier. Like, someone asked earlier on, like, oh, what can we do to help? I'm never going to be able to find that comment. I don't even know why I'm looking. Ah, there, I found it. It won't show. There it is. Katie,
I'd say.
Katai.
I
was, do you know what? I was gonna say her surname. I don't even think I could give that a bash either. Kinshu. Anyway, sorry, I can't read apparently. How can we help? That's how you can help. Go and subscribe, like any video that's put up if you like it. Obviously, don't like be fake. But followed. Will he be following me back or no? No. Don't like it if you don't actually like it, but if you do like it, it's just there we go, Katie. It's just a really quick little thing that you can do when you're watching something. Just click like this now when you're watching this video, like this video, because then that makes a difference. Because like I sent Hillary a graph of the last vlog there, like, so there was obviously initial interest in the vlog, and it was like 2,000, and where the fuck are the videos? It was like 2,000, 2,500, 2,500, 1,500, 900, 600, 600, and then today's one's at 900. So like, obviously interest wanes, and I've no problem with that, and the quality probably isn't there yet, but like, that's the thing that makes the difference, is if people watch it, then yes, Bruce, he is the guy that made the video of Emma McQuaid, and that's how I was describing him all week at the games to everybody. Was like that. Do you remember the time Savannah showed that video of Emma McQuaid? But if you guys go and like whatever is put up or subscribe or whatever, that's what makes a big difference, because that increases the eyes and it increases the opportunity for it to show up in new people's feeds or in new people's whatever searches or explore or whatever. But anyway, I think that's all. Is there anything else you want to mention about the games or anything?
It was pleasure working with you. Pleasure working with Filthy 150 and all the athletes that I was shooting for. Looking forward to the next one, and I'm heading to Disneyland.
That's great.
That's how I'm ending it.
Yeah. Oh, here's one. Oh fuck! Why am I fucking?
Oh, casually dressed and deep in conversation by feeling for a friend. Easy.
Do you know what, Jan? If you're gonna get him talking about music, you can do it on your own time. Because I had to sit in the car.
DM me. We were listening to. We had Wage War. We had the Ghost Inside. We had Polaris. We had Cliffside. We had it all. It was everywhere. Architects, you name it. We had it on the car.
Talk on Corners. What the fuck is that? That's something people just do. Oh, look at this. That was fast. We supported Funeral for a Friend once.
Oh, class. Okay, DM me.
Will says, I like you, Mikey. You're a good dude. He is a good dude.
Like right. See you soon. Hopefully.
I wonder if he listens to Whitechapel. Who's Whitechapel?
I do, yeah. Whitechapel. What a guy. That's serious vocalist.
Yeah, like You know, you hear those stories about Guantanamo Bay where they used to play like Metallica to prisoners and stuff, just to like, that's what it was like driving in the car with Mikey, where we'd sit down and I made the mistake of, I showed him that he could plug his phone in to
You did day one.
use maps and to, you know, put on music. And I shouldn't have fucking said the second part, but I was like, oh, you can actually work music through that as well. Fucking hell. It was like, and I felt like my dad, like where I'd be like, oh, is this song the same song as the last song? And I'm like, no, Dad, it's a different song. Or like, I felt like that, being like, is this a new one? Or like, was there just a gap in the middle of that last song? Or like, what's happening? Yeah. So you're bound to hear loads of that in Disneyland as well.
Yeah. Well, look, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on. It's been great chatting to you.